Shalom. Call Haloyim Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Bahashim Kudash and Shani Kabad Gadwala Requabs Aquanium Nawa Washalayakim Nawa. And that is double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone and Shalom Wabarakim Labakayim Shaliyasharala. And that is peace and blessings to the elect of Israel. And also may a double portion of the Holy Spirit be put upon the brothers that are out there on the highways and byways, offering their bodies as a living sacrifice out there on the front lines. So real quick, I just wanted to tackle this topic concerning a video that I seen by Elder Yashuamba. And it's very true. These Christians like to always run to this chapter and they'll read specific verses and cherry pick, even though they say we do that. But we're going scripture, we're doing precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, to expound upon the understanding of the scriptures. What these Christians do is they run to chapters like this that say all and everyone in Abraham and the faith of Abraham and grafted in, and not truly having the understanding of what that means. And they like to run here, this chapter, and say specifically that as long as you have the faith like Abraham, then that means that you are somehow grafted into the promise of Abraham, neglecting the fact that the promise did not stop with Abraham. That's why he's called the father of the promise for a reason. He was a father of the promise, and then what? A father has sons, children, descendants. And so the promise was handed down. This same promise, as we're going to read, was given to Isaac, and the same promise was given to Jacob. And for some reason, that's heavily neglected, because they know if they preach that, then that means that only Israel can be saved. Then that means the new covenant, and you can even read the new covenant, Hebrews the 8th chapter, and know that it's specifically talking about the Israelites. But if you specifically teach about that promise and how it was handed down, then that means in the New Testament they have to preach that salvation was only for the Israelites, and they can't do that. So with that being said, we're going to read a few verses in Galatians the 3rd chapter and get an understanding of how that promise was given. So as you read Galatians the 3rd chapter, then we're going to note specifically in verse 2 how it's almost like a header. There's almost like an introduction given to what Paul is going to continue right to the Israelite foreigners in Galatia. So we'll read verses 1 and 2. O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you, that ye should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Yahweh Shai hath been evidently set forth, crucified among you? This only what I learn of you, received ye the Spirit by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith? And like I said, that verse, specifically verse 2, it basically sets the tone for the rest of this chapter, because as you read chapter 1 and as you read chapter 2, and then as you get into chapter 3, you'll come to the understanding and realization, along with a little bit of research, that these Galatians, or these Israelite foreigners that were being called Galatians, they were promoting and uplifting the law, as if the law was going to save them, as if the law was their redeemer, and that was going to get them out of their predicament, and like it was going to bring forth the kingdom to come. No, Paul had to let them know, look, did you receive the Spirit by the works of the law, or was it by the hearing of faith? And we can translate this to our times today. You either heard some of the scriptures being broken down and you heard something that sounded like honey to you as you walked by, or maybe you, like me, I seen brothers out there first from the YouTube videos, and it was something that gravitated towards you, and you're like, yo, that makes sense. Like, I understand that completely through the Spirit, of course. And it was by faith. It wasn't by the law that made you say, yo, you know what? We got to start praying more to Yahweh Shai, or we got to start fasting, or we got to start being out here on these highways and byways. You didn't hear the law and the law made you do that. No, it was by faith. And that's what Paul was heavily, I'm just going to use the word promoting to these Israelite foreigners that were being called Galatians right here. Now, with that being said, as you continue to read down, a lot of Christians like to jump to verses like verse 14, and they'll read this without proper understanding. So verse 14 says that the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles, and they'll even call themselves those Gentiles, that the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles through, and they'll say Jesus Christ, we know his name to be Yahweh Shai, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. Now, two things that they lack the understanding of. One, like I mentioned already, the promise did not stop with Abraham, and we're going to get that. The same promise that was given to Abraham is the same promise that was passed down to Isaac, and that same promise was passed down to Jacob. And the second thing they don't understand is that his name is Yahweh Shai. I had to say that to push that vibration out there. Now, I wanted to read this verse right here because we're going to get a little bit more understanding of the verse when we jump down and read these 4 verses right here. Because it said, remember, that the promise would be received through faith. But remember, Paul was pushing faith and not the law. So look, verse 23 says this, but before faith came, we were kept under the law, shut up unto the faith which should afterwards be revealed. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Yahweh Shai, that we might be justified by faith. Because another word for schoolmaster, or basically you can say the schoolmaster represents a teacher, because it says wherefore the law was our schoolmaster. So it was to teach us and to be able to bring us closer to Yahweh Shai. But then it says that we might be justified by faith when faith came on the scene. And as you can see right here, Paul is heavily promoting that faith. It's about the faith, how faith was going to be able to, or how those descendants that were given that promise was going to receive that promise, not by the law, but we were going to receive that promise through that faith when it came, not the law. Verse 25, but after that faith has come, we are no longer under a schoolmaster. We no longer need that law, the law to teach us how to become closer to our power, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. For ye are all the children of the Most High by faith in Yahweh Shai. So that's what Paul was promoting. So back up here in verse 14, Paul was saying, look, the way to receive the promise is by having the faith of Abraham. And he was speaking specifically to those that were the descendants of Abraham, that one seed that was given or handed down the promise. That's how the promise was going to be received, by having the faith of Abraham. Now, this is outlined in Hebrews, the 11th chapter. Now, watch this. Hebrews 11, verse 1. Now, faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And then it goes into specific examples. One of those examples is, guess what? Guess who? Abraham. Verse 8. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out not knowing whither he went. By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, keyword promise, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. Heirs with him of the same promise. So when it talks about the faith of Abraham, understand that the promise that was given to Abraham was also given to Isaac, and the same exact promise was also given to Jacob. So the only way that you can be a part of the promise that was given to Abraham is if what? Is if you show forth the same faith that Abraham had, and also you have to be a part of that seed, that one seed that was what? Given the same exact promise, which it was passed down from Isaac down to Jacob. And this is where you see the video topic. So I just took this right here. Isaac and Jacob, since a lot of these Christians like to act like the promise just stopped at Abraham, and they don't like to speak about Isaac and Jacob. They only talk about Abraham. So Isaac and Jacob, comma, the heirs with him, Abraham, of the same promise. That's in the New Testament. And there's no getting around that. That's in the New Testament. Now, once again, it's also outlined in the Old Testament in various places. I like to jump here, though. Psalm 105, verse 7. He is the Lord our power. His judgments are in all the earth. He hath remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations, which covenant he made with Abraham, and his oath. What's another word for an oath? A promise. And his oath unto Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant. So it's about the promises being passed down to Abraham, Isaac, and then Jacob. And how are we, the descendants of Jacob, to receive the promise? By having faith in the man that died on the cross. That's why Paul was talking about Abraham, because he was promoting faith. Faith had to be pushed at that time. Faith in who? Faith in Yahweh Shai. Let's look up that word oath. I'm just curious what it says real quick, and then we'll close out. That's a big one right there. All right, it says Shabawai. Shabawai. And then oath, curse, oath, attesting of innocence, curse. Let's see what else it says. Properly something sworn. So basically it's the promise. Something sworn. It's not a curse. It's an oath. It represents the promise which was given to Isaac, and the same promise or oath was confirmed to Jacob for a law. So with that being said, I just wanted to once again tackle that topic. I do pray and hope that this was edifying to the elect. I want to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Chak. Double honor to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. Shalom.